Hey guys, what's going on? This is Pansar Dragon, and today we're going to be doing the support tier list, as we haven't done one since patch 5.2. And there has been a recent nerf to Blitzcrank, which does kind of hurt him a bit, and some recent new supports have popped up into the meta. Although relatively, the supports do stay the same, but I feel like we should update tier list just a little bit. Anyways, with all that being said, let's get started.
Disco Dancer.
Alright, so at number 5 we do have Nautilus. So the way I feel it is Nautilus is like a weaker Leona in lane. He doesn't offer as much damage as she does, but he does offer a lot of CC, which does help for ganks. He also has an escape with his Q, so if he does ever get caught out, he can just Q out and, not die. But after the laning phase, when he does get into that mid game and late game, what he offers is a ton of CC with his passive, his E, and his R, making him have a lot of utility and being able to initiate teamfights and peeling for his team. And as he gains levels, he gains more CC on his ultimate and his passive, since they do scale levels, along with his W scaling with maximum hit point. So if he can get out of the laning phase, safe and sound, then he's going to show a lot for team fights, and even if he is behind, he still at least has the CC. Although some cons about him is that he does have relatively high mana costs, as his Riptide does come up pretty often, and if used too much it can cost a lot of mana, but easily overcome when buying mana items like Frozen Heart or Righteous Glory. At number 4 is going to be Nami. Alright, so Nami has a pretty good laning phase because she has sustain and pretty decent poke. But now when it comes to the mid game, she's got a pretty good teamfight presence, as she has counter engage with her ultimate, good CC if she lands that bubble, and the best part is keeping her team healthy with her W. With these long fights with the new tank meta that's going on right now, and Morel and Nomicon not being bought as often as it was before, I feel like she has a good place right now in terms of the meta, as she can keep those tanks healthy and have really good follow up when their tanks engage onto the enemy. But what she lacks is her roaming a bit, as she isn't the best ganker, since her only engage is her bubble landing, which can be hard to hit, and her ultimate is more of a counter engage or follow up tool than engage. Other than that, I think she's pretty good. Next up at number 3 is going to be Leona. So the things I like about Leona is how much damage she can do when she does her full combo onto somebody. And of course her allies proccing her passive do, a bit more damage. And of course the amount of CC she can do when going onto an enemy, which means her engages and all-ins are really good. She's also pretty tanky because of her W giving her a good amount of magic resist and armor, so free stats is always a good thing. But now let's talk a little cons about her. First of all, she doesn't really have an escape, so she is a prime target for ganks. And in lane, all she has is all-in, so it could put her in a bad spot if the enemy jungler comes, or you're forced to play passive for whatever reason. But other than that, she's always going to be good. Next at number 2 is going to be Thresh. So the thing about Thresh is he's really good in the right hands. If you know how to land those hooks or play each support matchup in the fullest potential, he's going to be really good. But unless you're an average Thresh player or, below average, you're probably going to feed like I do and not do as well with him. And then otherwise he wouldn't be a good pick. But if you're a really good Thresh player, then you can actually carry your lane and roam around the map and carry your team to victory. Now he's basically got utility for everything. He's really good at peeling with his Flay, hooking people and locking them down, good at disengaging with his Lantern and his ultimate, and of course good at engaging with his Q and his E and then locking them down again with his R. It's actually pretty funny because most of his spells do have 2 ways of using them, offensively and defensively, so it's kinda cool. But I do feel like he lacks a bit of tankiness. Even when he does have some souls and builds a bit of armor and magic resist, he's still not as tanky as say someone like Leona or Nautilus. And also his disengage isn't as good as say someone like Janna. Ooh, speaking of Janna, guess who's at number 1? It's still gonna be Janna. So even though they changed a bit of her passive and W since patch 5.2, she's still pretty good in the way of what she can do. And what can she do, you may ask? Well, the one thing I find really annoying about her is not her tornado, that's actually a pretty decent skill for disengaging or follow up. Not her roaming, even though it is pretty good as she gets a lot of movement speed coming from her W. Not her E, even though it does have pretty good base hit point on it and it gives AD, even though that means it just gives free stats, which is a big thing. But it's her friggin' ultimate. Her ultimate resets the team fights if it's going bad, then her team can decide to run away from it or of course fight back, since they're being healed up a whole lot from Monsoon. And if you actually look at the numbers on it, it does heal from 300 to 600 depending on your level, which is actually more than Soraka even if Soraka gets increased heal when they're below 50% hit point. I mean, I know you have to channel her ultimate to get the full healing duration, but honestly, since you're knocking people back, it is going to be fairly easy to do. And also, does Soraka's ultimate provide any utility other than healing? Not really. Jena's ultimate does. Alright, now let's talk about some honorable mentions. First up is going to be Morgana. Alright, so the only way I like her is if you're trying to actually protect your AD carry from a bunch of assassins like Vi, Lissandra, all these people who can hard CC your carry and lock them down. And I guess her 3-second root with her Q to lock other people down. But I remember there was one patch where they toned down her E and R. And when numbers do get toned down a bit, it means they're not as good as they were before, of course, but they can still work. I would only pick Morgana if, say, I was trying to protect my Kog'Maw or Jinx or someone who's a hyper carry. Alright, so next up is going to be Soraka, and she gives a lot of heals. And basically, if in the team fight they're trying to burst someone down, all you have to do is press W and spam it, and they'll live. She's actually really good when her team is ahead, because if the enemy tries to burst someone down and try and get a pick, she can just press W, press R, press Mikhail's, and they'll probably live. So it's hard for the enemy team to come back. Alright, so thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys enjoyed this tier list, maybe you'll enjoy some previous tier lists that I did, as we won't be doing any other tier lists in this patch because there wasn't really that much changes. So enjoy the jungle, the mid lane, and AD carry for other patches. Anyways, I am Patrick Tragan, and I'll see you guys next time.